Bad dreams, huh?
It seemed so real.
Well, it is real, sort of. You see, part of being a Grey Warden is being able to hear the Darkspawn. That's what your dream was, hearing them. The Archdemon, it talks to the Horde, and we feel it just as they do. That's why we know this is really a blight.
The Archdemon, is that the dragon?
I don't know if it's really a dragon, but it sure looks like one. But yes, that's the Archdemon. It takes a bit, but eventually you can block the dreams out. Some of the older Grey Wardens say they can understand the Archdemon a bit, but I sure can't. Anyhow, when I heard you thrashing around, I thought I should tell you. It was scary at first for me, too.
Any other surprises I should know about?
Other than dying young and the whole defeat the Blight alone thing, no. I'm all tapped out for surprises. Anyhow, you're up now, right? Let's pull up camp and get a move on.
Welcome back to Dragon Age Origins. It's time to grab our favorite cup of coffee, tea, or soda and sit around the campfire and have a chat. We are going to be talking to our companions to learn a little bit more about them and talk about giving them gifts to improve our approval rating with them. Each companion gets specific types of gifts, which we are going to cover. When given to the right companion, gifts will award you approval points. Regular gifts will give you plus 5 approval points, and preferred gifts will give you plus 10 approval points. However, these approval points diminish the more gifts you give to each companion. Keep in mind, if you have a negative approval with a companion at the time you give the gift, any bonuses you get from giving the gift will be cut in half. The approval points for each of your companions maxes out at 100. And there is one companion that is already at 100 and will continue to stay that way, and that is your dog. Some of the gifts that you will give are relevant to the plot, and you acquire the information about the plot from talking to the companion. If you forget who you're supposed to give it to, don't worry. You can't give them to the wrong companion once you get the gift. If you try to give it to the wrong companion, they will actually refuse the gift. So any of them that are plot related will have to go back directly to the companion that asked you to retrieve the item. The most confusing part comes to gifts that aren't plot related. Who do I give them to? Each character has a unique set of things that they like that you learn by talking to them. For instance, Alistair likes runestones and figures of arcane monsters. So things like a black runestone, a onyx demon statuette, a dragon statuette, those are things that you would give to Alistair. Liliana likes anything to do with chantry symbols and shoes. She likes bronze symbols of Andraste, the chantry amulet, and an etched silver symbol in particular. Morrigan surprisingly likes jewelry. And that was one when I first started playing this game that I would have never guessed. So a gold amulet, pendants, necklace, lockets, brooches, chains, all go to Morrigan. Sten, the Canary that we picked up in the last episode, likes paintings. He likes the painting of the Rebel Queen, the silver-framed still life, portrait of a goose girl, and totems. There are a couple of other companions that we haven't yet met. We'll quickly cover their gifts just so that you use this as a gift guide. But Zevran, who you will meet later, he likes anything leather, and any leather items are probably going to be plot related, like Antiban leather boots or Dalish gloves. His preferred gifts are metal bars, medium gold bar, medium silver bar, small gold bar, small silver bar, which you'll quickly figure out when you meet him. He's very materialistic. Oghren, he's pretty easy to read as well. He likes to drink. So anything alcohol related, he will gladly take off your hands. with the exception of wine. That is for Wynn, who is another individual that we will pick up later. So anything alcohol related except for wine goes to Ogren. In addition to wine, Wynn loves books and scrolls, so she's pretty easy to figure out as well. Some of that to do with her age. She's one of the oldest companions that you will have. And so she likes books like Discovering Dragon's Blood, fancy scrolls, a book called The Rose of Arlay, and then, of course, wine. So even though your dog absolutely adores you and really doesn't need any gifts, there are gifts out there that you can find that you can give him, including several different types of bones and some of the items that he actually brings back to you when you send him out to see if he can find anything, including the cake that he found in the last episode. We'll be returning that to him as a gift. If you have the Stone Prisoner DLC, you will be able to acquire Shale as a companion. She prefers remarkable gemstones, such as the remarkable amethyst, remarkable diamond, remarkable emerald. You see the pattern there? These gifts are obviously pretty pricey, but you can purchase them from vendors in places like Orzammar. There is also a secret companion that you can acquire. I'm not going to spoil the plot, but if you acquire this companion, the individual likes maps. So that is a basic rundown on gifts, and we'll talk more about them as we play the game when I start giving them. But let's go over here and talk to these individuals who just happened to show up at our camp. I think we told them in the last episode, farewell. They opted not to come with us, but they've showed up here at our camp. So let's see what they have to say.
It's good to see you, my timely rescuer. Bodon Feddick, at your service once again. I saw your camp and thought to myself, what safer place to rest for the evening than in the camp of a Grey Warden? I'm perfectly willing to offer you a fine discount for the inconvenience of our presence. How does that sound? Good? Yes?
What are you selling exactly?
Anything, everything, but all of the finest quality. No cheap trinkets here. And my boy Sandal happens to be a bit of a hand with enchantments. Oh, yes. Sadly, it also makes us a target for bandits and the like. If there were spare hands to hire as guards, I would have done so long ago.
You are free to stay. Just mind yourselves.
Wonderful. Thank the kind lady, won't you, boy?
Thank you, kind lady.
We won't be a bother to you and your companions, I assure you. If you should need enchantments, simply talk to my boy. Otherwise, come speak with me. You and your friends are formidable folk, indeed. It's good to have you along on the road.
So what's your story exactly?
I suppose since you told me about you being a Grey Warden, it's only fitting for me to be as open. I am originally from Orzammar, the famed dwarven city that lies beneath the stately Frostback Mountains. I was a merchant there, too. Merchant caste. These things are in the blood, you know. You can't just leave them behind. I ran a fairly successful business. Rare artifacts, you know. Old things, grand things. The nobles loved them. Reminded them of the lost glory days, I suppose.
Why did you leave?
One day, a noble woman came to my store. She looked around for a bit and then started shrieking in dismay. Apparently, she believed that a pair of braces I had for sale once belonged to her brother. He'd been lost in a cave-in, you see, while on an expedition to clear out the Darkspawn from one of the tunnels running close to the city. They were made specially for him. They're unique, she shrieked. He stole them from my poor brother's corpse. She had me arrested on the spot, of course. Nobles, they're touchy like that.
What happened then?
Well, I didn't steal them. You see, I'd been paying these castless thugs to venture out into the deep roads for me. The lost tigers, they're full of things that people left behind. Sometimes you can find a treasure, something worth a little gold.
Better to do something with them than leave them to rot.
That's exactly how I see it. The noblewoman, she wasn't too happy with the theft of her brother's braces. I don't know what they planned for me, and I didn't want to find out. bribed the guard that was watching me, and took off for the surface first opportunity I got. Never looked back.
Fascinating story. Thank you for sharing.
You're quite welcome. Now, is there anything the boy or I can get you?
Have you heard any rumors?
Some folks aren't happy about Tyrn Loghain being named regent. There are rumours he had something to do with the king's death. Isn't that the most ridiculous thing you ever heard? The Darkspawn killed him, sure enough. If Tyrn Loghain couldn't save the king from that end, then nobody could. That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is.
You didn't mention your son in your tale.
Ah, yes. I'm married to a fine woman back in Denerim, it's true. She'd give me a son if she could, but that's not likely to ever be. Sandal here. I found him in the deep roads years ago. Abandoned, I think, and he was never quite right in the head. I took him in, and I brought him with me when I came here to the surface. He may not be my blood, true, but I think of him as one.
We left Orzammar.
That's right, boy. Maybe one day we'll see it again.
That was generous of you.
It's not as if I don't benefit, mind you. Turns out the boy's a natural working with enchantments. He might have even been lyrium-addled. I never thought of that before, to be honest. Happens sometimes. He can work an enchantment into just about anything, however, given some time. Could probably open his own shop, if he knew how.
Enchantment.
Well, he does seem to enjoy it, at least.
Let me see your wares.
I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected. And with your discount.
Well, he has a gift that we have to buy. Obviously, a necklace, and it goes to Morrigan, right? So we'll buy that. Shoot. We definitely need that backpack, so we need to sell something. All right, we'll leave it there for now.
Hello.
The boy's a bit simple, but he's rather good with enchantments. One of those tranquil fellas actually called him what was it now? A savant. I had no idea such a thing existed.
What enchantments does he do?
He can fold lyrium into almost any weapon or piece of armour, though naturally some of the more extravagant materials will take more lyrium than others. It's a process that some of the master smiths back in Orzammar will perform, but my boy here is just as adept at it. Isn't that right, boy?
Enchantment.
And there you have it.
I want some enchanting done.
Enchantment.
So we have an Oathkeeper, and we are going to put an enchantment on that for Alistair. See what we've got. Let's do cold damage on that. Okay, let's go chat with our companions. Let's talk to Alistair first.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something.
Ask away.
What can a Templar do exactly?
Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells.
So Templars use magic themselves?
You could call it that, sure. The Chantry doesn't look on it the same way, however, since really our talents only work on mages. Against a regular person, I'm just a guy in a metal suit.
Have you hunted many mages?
No, I never actually became a full Templar. Duncan recruited me before I took my vows. I was only present during one harrowing. That was all I needed, too. I don't know how anyone could get through that. The girl they tested, she had a demon put inside her to see if she could resist. And she couldn't. We had to end it quickly. I have to say I didn't have much interest in becoming a Templar after that.
So couldn't others learn these talents?
Perhaps. but there usually isn't much of an opportunity. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted. And since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put two and two together.
So, were you addicted to this lyrium?
Thankfully, no. You only start receiving lyrium once you've taken your vows. You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templar's talents more effective. Or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me.
Hi, Duke.
Oh, why, you little...
Are you harassing my dog?
Me? Harassing your dog? I should say it's the other way round. Your furry friend here took offense at me getting near his food. He snapped at me, look.
Good boy. Teach that silly Alistair a lesson.
Sometimes I forget that he's a war dog. That'll teach me. I once heard a really old legend about how the hound warriors in the days of the old tribes would feed their Mabari the flesh of the vanquished. Well, that's what I heard anyway. It would sometimes be human flesh. Oh, like you can tell the difference. For all you know, maybe you've already been fed something. Someone.
Don't listen to Alistair. He's full of rubbish.
Hey!
Yes?
I'd like to talk.
Well, here I am.
This vision of yours.
I knew this would come up sooner or later. I don't know how to explain, but I had a dream. In it, there was an impenetrable darkness. It was so dense, so real. And there was a noise, a terrible, ungodly noise. I stood on a peak and watched as the darkness consumed everything. And when the storm swallowed the last of the sun's light, I fell, and the darkness drew me in.
What then?
When I woke, I went to the Chantry's gardens, as I always do. But that day, the rosebush in the corner had flowered. Everyone knew that bush was dead. It was grey and twisted and gnarled, the ugliest thing you ever saw. But there it was, a single beautiful rose. It was as though the Maker stretched out his hand to say, even in the midst of this darkness, there is hope and beauty. Have faith.
And this made you want to help?
In my dream, I fell, or maybe I jumped. I'd do anything to stop the blight. I know that we can do it. There are so many good things in the Maker's world. How can I sit by while the blight devours everything?
I suppose I couldn't sit by either.
That is why you're a Grey Warden. Come, there's a blight to stop.
Hello, Stan.
Why are we stopping?
Well, we're working together. I think I should get to know you.
There are darkspawn to be fought. Is this delay needful?
Are you all right? You were in that cage for weeks.
You are concerned. No need. I am fit enough to fight.
I've never seen a Canary before. Tell me about your people.
No.
No, why not?
People are not simple. They cannot be summarized for easy reference in the manner of, the elves are a lithe, pointy-eared people who excel at poverty.
Wow. You said you were in the army?
I am.
Have you ever fought in a war?
I have always fought in war, elf.
What do you mean by that?
My people have been at war since the moment we set foot in the Northern Islands.
So the Canary don't come from the islands?
We do now.
Where did you come from before?
Somewhere else.
He's very short with his answers, isn't he? Can you be more specific?
No. I was born in Seheron. Of the land we came from, I know nothing, not even its name. I do not see how this matters. Seheron and Parvolan are distant. Ferelden and the Darkspawn are immediate.
True. Let's go.
As you wish.
We did get a couple of approval points from him. Hard to do. He's a little difficult to talk to.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something.
Ask away.
So you said this Arl Eamon raised you?
Oh, did I say that? I meant that dogs raised me. Giant slobbering dogs from the Anderfells. A whole pack of them, in fact.
That's not what I remember you telling Flemeth.
Well, if you're going to go and pay attention to the facts, then fine. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died when I was very young. Arl Eamon wasn't my father, but he took me in anyhow and put a roof over my head. He was good to me, and he didn't have to be. I respect the man, and I don't blame him anymore for sending me off to the Chantry once I was old enough.
Why did he send you off to the Chantry?
Arl Eamon eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, then you, Arlessa, resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Arl didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10, just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me.
Wasn't it inappropriate for the Arl to raise an orphan?
Probably. It was just a kindness he did to a woman who had served him anyway. I didn't sleep on silk sheets in the keep or anything. I remember I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered. Stupid thing to do. The Arl came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there, and blamed him for everything. And eventually, he just stopped coming.
Are you sure he isn't your father?
Yes, I'm quite sure. At any rate, I don't look anything like him, you'll see for yourself. Not that it stopped the rumors any. All I know is that the Arl is a good man, and well loved by the people. He also was King Caelan's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain pay for what he did. Anyway, that's really all there is to the story.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
Did you grow up in the Kakari Wilds?
Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
I'm curious. What's wrong with that?
Any number of cats could inform you of the answer to that question, but have it your way. What is it you asked if I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time, I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
And you remained unnoticed.
For the most part, Flemeth taught me well. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
Very daring. That sounds like you.
Equal parts daring and foolhardy, perhaps. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be travelling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
That was quick thinking.
Men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
Touching? Like a handshake?
To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hand? I find it an offensive intrusion. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
Yet here you are.
Yes, here I am. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
So we've had an initial conversation with each of the companions, and now I'm gonna try to give them a few gifts, or at least one or two gifts. You want to go into your menu and select the individual that you want to give the gift to. We're going to give Duke his cake back. And if you hover over the cake, you'll see it says give to Duke. And let's give this silver bracelet to Morgan.
A fine gift. You have my thanks.
And we need to give that to Liliana.
That's a wonderful thought. I don't know what to say.
And we want to give the small carved statuette to Alistair.
I could get used to this, you know.
Okay, everyone, we're going to wrap it up here for this episode. If any of this information was helpful to you, I would appreciate you hitting the like button for the video. And if you're interested in seeing more of Dragon Age Origins, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.